Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zero Knowledge Hash podcast, where we have zero knowledge on zero knowledge proofs, and we won't bother to figure it out in this podcast either. Um, Fia Jeff, since I'm not good enough for you anymore, you brought along a guest. So why don't you introduce our guest for today?
Oh, I have no idea who our guest is. I don't even know how to pronounce the name.
Do you know
And
if he likes what was it, grapefruit or a passion fruit?
passion fruit. Do you like it? Guest.
Yeah, I like passion fruit, and I got a lot of passion for zero knowledge proofs.
Uh, he apparently he's in the wrong podcast. Since we both don't know who our guest is, we'll just have to ask him to introduce himself, I guess.
Um, yeah, my name is Robin. My middle name is Linus. My last name is Secret, and I'm working on zero knowledge proofs for Bitcoin. We are like the project is called Zero Sync, and we are building a chain state proof of the Bitcoin blockchain so that you can basically sync instantly and run trustless light clients and yeah, all kinds of other applications on top of that.
And do a lot of people care about what you're doing?
It's getting more and more, I would say. I think more people care about Nostra, but yeah, I think it's one of the hot topics in the Bitcoin field right now. Not the
Are you a
hottest, but one of
shitcoiner?
the hottest. If I'm a shitcoiner, I'm a former shitcoiner. Yeah.
What,
Oh,
what,
that's why you like zero knowledge proofs then.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
okay, talk about your shitcoin history.
Oh no, my shitcoin history. Yeah, my shitcoin history is awful. Well, in 2016, I started building a blockchain just for the sake of it, and then that huge hype started, and people became very interested in it. And like, with huge hype, I mean like the huge ICO hype and everything. And
Is it
yeah,
registered on CoinMarketCap? What's the name?
I don't want to name
Ethereum.
it. I hate it. Like,
No, you're gonna have to expose yourself.
I guess people can find it if they Google me. Like the short story is, I thought we can take some of the dumb money and turn it into something good. And right after the ICO, my co-founders were like, "Hey, those investors are stupid. Let's just rip them off." And I didn't want to rip them off, so they kicked me out.
Mm. So you're not rich, and the
Sorry?
blockchain still exists.
Yeah, yeah. A mock-up of the blockchain exists, yeah, and they are marketing that mock-up. They have great designers and a nice website and like.
Yes, I was gonna ask about the website. Are there animations on the website? And how many animations are there on the website?
Yeah, I guess they have great animations on their website. The tech is super shitty, so they must have great animations.
Yeah, it's good. Like I love the ICO age era website. Those were the best.
Yeah, for me it was not very funny, I would say. Yeah,
This is a sad topic. We should move on. Our guess is
yeah.
uncomfortable. I can't find anything on Google. It's all about this shitty Bitcoin thing and zero knowledge.
So what's the problem with syncing the chain as it is?
Yeah, well, the chain keeps growing and growing, and it is already 500 gigabytes. And in particular, on weak devices, like most people on the world, they use the internet on mobiles, and it's absolutely impossible to sync a full node on a mobile. And yeah, when you proof the chain state instead of verifying it, or like when you verify the chain state with a proof, then you can do it on a phone, and then everybody can run a full node on their phones.
I see. Are you going to run a full node on your phone, VHF?
Uh, I don't think I will. That that question got me unguarded. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this. Well, yeah.
I
Okay.
think
Next
at some
next
point
question.
all Bitcoin apps will be running proofs. Maybe.
But then you still have to download every block.
No, you don't. Well, I mean, there is the data availability problem to some degree, of course. But if you download just the latest 100 blocks or so, I think you would be fine, and there would be no data availability problem.
No, I mean after you sync from the proof, you have to keep downloading blocks, or maybe you can use the UTXO stuff.
Yeah, there are various ways you can use U3XO. That would be one option, but then you still have to download the blocks. But the other way is that you just download a new chain state proof every, I don't know, 10 blocks or something, and then you just ask someone for an inclusion proof for your UTXOs.
I see.
So would you say that the zero knowledge stuff fixed the SPV problem?
Yep, of course, yes.
Interesting.
Because you don't incentivize miners anymore to mine invalid chains, because a ZK client would not believe in an invalid chain ever. It can only ever believe in invalid chains, and that's why there is no incentive anymore to try to trick SPV clients.
Constant, did you read the stuff I told you to read about ZK coins and the RGB thing?
No.
Okay.
So tell me about it.
It's interesting.
I already told you the last episode.
That's right. No, I didn't. I went in zero prep. I figured I could do zero prep because you already got a guest, and I figure it's like you probably invited him for some reason, so you probably have a
No,
bunch of
I
questions. So I'll just tag
I
along.
invited him so you could do your magic questions and extract valid information from him. Valuable.
Okay. So we're screwed. Well, that's not true. So I did do prep. The prep I did was that I provided a brute war replay. So we're just gonna watch that one, and then at least we got content. I guess we can do that.
Yeah, what race do you play, Robin?
What race I play? I
Yeah.
like the Protons usually.
He's a
Really?
Protoss player, just like you feel, Jeff.
Yeah, that's sad. I don't like playing against Protoss. It's the same unit, so it's like I don't have any ways to trick my opponent. I have to be better. So when was the last time you played StarCraft?
Probably when I was like, I don't know, 15 or so. Long time ago.
Did you play StarCraft 2 after that?
No.
Just Brute War, or did you even play Brute War, or just the
Yeah.
original?
I played Brute War, yeah.
Oh,
a lot.
okay.
No one played the original. Brood War came like 2 months afterwards.
Yeah, very quickly. The same year,
I think I played the original too. Like my brother had
the
it.
campaign.
Yeah.
Played the campaign.
I think I already asked this question, but did you play the campaign in Portuguese, Future?
I don't remember. I think I did play it in Portuguese. Yeah. When I bought the game, it was like a promotional edition that was cheaper and came in a small box. I think the game was already famous, and would probably already had the Portuguese translation.
So you're no longer a shitcoiner. Would you call yourself a Bitcoiner?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
I hate shitcoins. I mean, I've seen shitcoins from behind the scenes, right? And I think the reality is that shitcoins are way worse than Bitcoiners think.
Why don't you talk about these things like in public? Like you've seen shady stuff happening, but normal people don't know about. Not even the Bitcoiners, they don't know about the shady stuff. They assume there's some shady stuff happening, but they don't hear about the actual things that happen.
I mean, it's pretty much the opposite. It's like full of lawyers and legal stuff, and like it's not engineers and builders. It's the opposite. It's people trying to do stuff that is like barely legal, and so that it's hard to sue them for ripping off people. But yeah, they're just trying to game the legal system. I guess that's their main job, and that's very different than in Bitcoin, because in Bitcoin it's all about building, and yeah, even if you build halfway decent stuff like I'm doing, then you still get grilled on podcasts like yours.
Yeah, that must have been like the peak of your career is now. You can only go down from now.
We're going to send the maxi mobs on you. Or at least Fiat Jeff is going to, because he has a Twitter presence. I don't. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that follow me. Even though I tell them to not follow me on Twitter and follow me on Nostr, they still follow me on Twitter.
but okay, so for at least for the audience of I guess 3 people in total we're going to have for this episode. Let's put in some effort in explaining what it is you're trying to do.
No,
Um,
let's not do that. But people can listen to the Stefan Livera Red podcast through this
Yeah,
to
let's
understand
talk
that.
about ZK coins. That's a good idea.
ZK Coins is much better. ZK Coins is the best thing.
okay, talk about it. Go ahead.
Are you interested in ZK Coins, Constant?
Um, sure. I'm interested.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. It's advancing RGB and Taro, which are token protocols on top of Bitcoin. And yeah, the problem with I don't know where to start. Shall I explain first how RGB works
So
roughly?
why do you remember my explanation from last week, Constant, about RGB and the RGB proposal? I don't understand. Like what
You
I,
didn't explain.
I
The
did.
only thing you talked about last week, if I recall, was that you no longer have it's a system where you no longer have a UTXO set as it is. You only create proofs, like non-inclusion proofs for the specific history
Of the coins
of
you have.
coins. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you only verify the proofs for those specific bitcoins you are interacting with. That's
Is
what you
that
explained last week.
does that sound something like ZK Coins, Robin?
That sounds more like ZK coins than RGB.
Yeah, I mixed the two. I don't understand why RGB is not using zero knowledge since they've been working on this stuff for many years. Didn't they realize they could use zero knowledge to make their thing much better?
Mm, I think they knew about it, and like I talked a bit with Maxim about it, and they had it on their mind, but
And then you got frustrated in the conversation, and you had an argument, and then you never talked again anymore.
oh no, I get along with Maxim, I think.
Oh, okay.
um, no, like they do use some kind of zero knowledge proofs. They actually use, like, it's kind of funny because everybody says zero knowledge proofs, but most people just mean validity proofs that are not zero knowledge. Zero knowledge is basically a buzzword that
But
swapped
it's a
over
very cool
from,
word. We should keep
yeah,
using it.
it's yeah, for ZK coins, it is actually zero knowledge proofs, and maybe it's the first ZK project that is actually using the zero knowledge property of ZK proofs and not just compression. Um, and yeah, they have been using zero knowledge proofs to some degree already, because they are using these Peterson commitments to have confidential transactions. And these confidential transactions, they hide the transaction amount, and they also hide the asset which you are transferring. But they do not hide the transaction graphs yet. They just can't do that. And yeah, with proper proof systems, or like with universal proof systems, or it's also the wrong word because bulletproofs are also universal, but like with these proof systems like Starks, for example, yeah, you can compress lots of data, and you can compress the entire history of coins into a succinct proof, and that is not possible with the bullet proofs that RGB is using. Also, bullet proofs are not very succinct because the verification time is linear in the statement size. So, yeah.
So this all relates to stuff built on top of Bitcoin, but
Yes.
in ignoring the practical reality of things, if you were to create Bitcoin again, would you include this type of scheme?
Yes, definitely. It
And
scales way better. Like you can have, without any soft fork, you can have about 100 transactions per second on Bitcoin. Unfortunately, not BTC transactions, because you need some kind of bridge to bridge into that protocol, to bridge into ZK coins and back.
Yeah, but if you
no,
were
but
to
if
make
you were to
Bitcoin
build
again, it
Bitcoin
would be
again, yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, that would be great, I think, because you would have better scalability and better privacy.
But would you still be able to? So if something were to break, would you know, and would you be able to fix it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It like the main problem of ZK proofs in general is that you cannot easily prove the amount of coins that are in circulation, because that's just the nature of it. If all amounts are obfuscated and nobody knows the amounts, then nobody can prove that they sum up to the correct value, and this is a major drawback. And even though these schemes are secure from a mathematical perspective, you never know if there's any implementation issue or something, and then you don't know if somebody inflated the supply with some kind of bug.
Right. So I think this is a good topic we can address. So from what it is that you're saying, or if you say that you would create Bitcoin, including this stuff, then I would assume you'd say that the global state is a bug, not a feature.
Yes.
Yes, and I would disagree. I would, because I would say the exact opposite, is that the global state is the exact feature of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
If you need global state, because like we needed global state, but if you don't need it, if you can get things working without the global state, why?
Yes, but
Why?
we just addressed that you actually do need global state if you want
Why?
to ensure that everything is actually working. Then you do need global state. And if the whole point of Bitcoin is that it's this,
And if the thing is broken, it's there's no way to fix it, right?
no, that's not true. I mean, step one of fixing the thing when it's broken is it's somewhat true, but step one of fixing it when it's broken is that it's clear and obvious for everybody that it's broken.
Yeah, but we don't have to fix Bitcoin because it's not broken. And if it was, I think it would be too late to fix. The game's already over. This was a
I
very
guess he means
weird game.
I mean, it actually happened in, was it 2010 or 11? I think it was 2010. So it was fairly early on.
What
But
happened? Was an inflation bug?
yeah. So there was a bug. So there was a bug in the system.
Even 2018 there was an inflation bug.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually exploited. So
no.
They found a bug, but it wasn't actually there. And in this case, the bug was actually running.
Mm-hmm.
And if I recall correctly, it was I think it was actually there's a Dutch broker here, Bitonic, and they found out that something was wrong, and they were able to then fairly quickly fix it.
Well, I think people had to like they talked about it on an IRC channel, and they agreed to move to the other chain, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They abandoned some blocks.
Wow. Okay.
But that was early days, so it was fairly easy to then still do that stuff. But I guess the point is that what is the main point of Bitcoin? Well, the main point of Bitcoin is to know that your money's real, right? That's the function of the system.
That's true, yeah.
So, but there is a little bit more going along with that, because it's not just for those like grand mathematical wizards to know that their money is real. Um, it's really for like most people to know that their money is real. So because it's mostly it's a political there is a geopolitical or political dimension to Bitcoin, which is actually the point of the system.
Yes.
That anybody, it makes sense that there is a reason for anybody to join the system because of these features, right? And I would say that if you don't no longer have this global state, that would actually undermine this.
Yeah, to some degree, that's true indeed. I would say the issue is that either you have scalability or you have perfect audibility.
Correct.
But
But the point is, Bitcoin doesn't scale, so stop trying to make it scale.
I feel like this is not very satisfying. I want Bitcoin to scale.
You're yelling against the wind. You're beating rocks. No, no. I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious, but
Yeah.
it's like in principle, it's like the thing doesn't scale. So, I mean, it's interesting if you can apply it on other layers, for certain. But that's the reason why I asked that if you were to rebuild Bitcoin, would you implement it? So we now uncovered the fact that you are still, in fact, a shitcoiner. So
maybe if that's the definition. At least I'm not scamming people anymore with like investments.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But if
So
you
I made progress.
if you're doing this, then we don't even know if you're scamming people.
Yeah. Well, at least I'm not selling them investments, right?
Okay.
So
How much money did the ICO collect?
stop asking about that.
I think at the time of closing it was $11 million.
That's reasonable. It's not. It's not. I mean, at the time, certainly at the time, there were plenty of bigger ones, but
Yeah,
11
and we
million is
were
good.
quite legit to some degree. We had like crypto PhDs and like I
Oh, of
think
course.
Whale Panda was endorsing us, and it
Really?
was like yeah. Maybe you can cut that out. For me, like
We're not
he
gonna edit
definitely
everything.
unfollowed the shitcoin project at some point, so he's not endorsing it anymore.
But I do
So
I do think the UTXO set commitments stuff is at least interesting, because also, I mean, it's a choice, right? It's optional,
Yes.
if I understand correct. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Who would include that? Does that rely on the miner to do that, or is
No,
it
that's the
just
cool thing.
any
That's the cool
transaction?
thing
Or
about ZKPs, because you can augment the chain with basically any data structure that you can derive from the blockchain data. So you you compute that tree inside of that proof, and then the result of the proof is basically the UTXO root, and the proof proves to you that that root is correct, and it requires no soft fork or whatsoever.
but
It's just
nothing has to be declared inside the block itself.
no.
Okay, so everything can go via side channels.
Yes. It's
yeah.
basically like running a node, and that node computes some kind of tree, and then at the end it proves to you that all the computation was correct.
So have you seen these? What do you think about this? I wanted to ask this mempool accelerator thing from mempool.space. Have you seen that?
You mean
This
like
has
that?
nothing to do with anything that you're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah. you mean I can pay a miner with my credit card to include my transaction or so, right? That is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's not live yet, right? I was trying
I
to.
mean, it's kind of similar to replace by fee because people are already doing it. Like for example, when Burak, when he broke LND, he just contacted a miner and asked him to include his transaction. So people are already doing that to some degree, and it also makes some sense from the network perspective, because why should all nodes broadcast all transactions to everyone all the time? Um, that is not
Hmm.
necessary. It would be okay if we would just send them to miners, but it's a slippery slope, of course, because the more you think it into the future, the more censorship would be possible if that was the only way to include transactions. And the current way is much nicer because it's very decentralized and it can be very anonymous.
I think another
So
factor would be fee estimation. So
Hmm.
you
it's
could do that
so
in
it's
blocks, no?
censorship and fee estimation. I think those are the two factors that play along, or at least are the reasoning for um, having the type of backbone, P2P network backbone that we have right now.
You could estimate the fees from blocks, I think. You
So
just
instead
look
of
at the
looking at the
blocks and
mempool, just looking at the past.
yeah,
Yeah, the last block,
or the
something like
last
that.
10 blocks.
Um, I guess that's reasonable, or at least it sounds reasonable. I have to think about it, but
Yeah. I think fee estimation would not be that huge of a problem, but yeah, the censorship resistance, yeah, that would suffer, I guess, when that was the main way to get transaction into blocks. This
but
acceleration thing.
would it actually, because the you approached it from the reasoning as to like a negative reasoning as to why would we broadcast all these transactions as a normal node, but I would approach it from the other direction of the miner, that it's actually in their their incentive is to scour like the internet to find any transaction that they can get.
Yeah,
um and if that is the case, then how big is the censorship problem really? Because the internet itself is already censorship resistant. So um, wouldn't miners be able to be able to advertise themselves properly?
yeah, of course. But do you, as a user, find the ones that don't censor you? Is the question, I guess, because there will be big miners who will be good at advertising themselves, and everybody would know about them. But what if they censor you? Then you have to find other miners that don't censor you. And
But you just have to find them all, right? Why you don't care about any particular miner, so you just find any all the miners.
yeah, I mean, you have to get your transaction to them, to those miners who don't censor you. And
No, you just have to get your transaction to every miner you can find and hope that one of them at least doesn't censor you,
yeah, yeah.
which is already what's happening,
I
but it's
think
just using a.
the other day somebody posted on Twitter a transaction that paid I think 100 V bytes or so, uh, and sorry, 100 sats per V byte, and nobody took that transaction. I think he had to increase it to 1,000 V byte per 1,000 bit sorry 1,000 sats per V byte. Until somebody took it from Twitter. So
Was that person Craig White or something, or
like just some random dude on Twitter. Um, but I feel like that shows that miners are not desperate for finding transactions on the internet yet. So I'm
oh,
not
so
sure if it would work out.
it was a test. He didn't actually
Yeah,
okay. So he only put it on Twitter to see if
yeah,
someone would
yeah.
actually take it. Ah, I
To
see.
basically test your hypothesis that miners are desperate for transactions and that they scan the internet to find the most juicy transactions that are posted on, I don't know, Nostra or something.
Yeah, that reminds me of some relative I had that once asked me if I had seen her on the internet because she was on the internet and she knew I I used it to visit the internet.
So the fuck, what was it? What I was gonna say? Okay, I forgot. This normally happens to Fiat Jeff, but now it's me.
Oh, I forgot everything I had thought about this
That's
episode.
great. What I remember. So the the thing where you can pay to get your transaction included is actually very old. I don't recall which pool it was, but it has existed for many years now already.
Yeah, and many people who are doing experiments with Bitcoin transactions, they are using such services.
Mm-hmm.
I think also Super
To
Testnet, he broke
scam people.
ordinals. No, also to break ordinals.
To break what?
Break ordinals, like the inscription thing.
Oh yeah. He did,
Yeah,
but I think he knew someone, and then he talked to someone who talked to someone who got the transaction money. It wasn't
yeah.
an automatic
No,
process. Yeah,
no. I guess also the automatic processes, they would only accept standard transactions probably, and his transaction was non-standard because it required a transaction that that was spending a zero sats output, and it paid zero fees.
the fact that Ordinals is broken. Did you know that, Constant? Ordinals is broken.
Nope.
Like
Tell me about it.
what? I don't know
Uh,
the details, but I think they all they had to do was to give a number to each Satoshi and identify each Satoshi. But then they had bugs in the software such that some Satoshis don't have numbers. So some
Ah.
Satoshis do not get are not counted, and and they can't go back and renumber those because that would affect everything that happened afterwards, and all the inscriptions that people bought would change owners. So
Oh no, their arbitrary naming scheme has failed. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. No, they should fix it, and all the people that bought
they
into it
fixed it
early.
already.
Oh, okay, that's good.
no, I don't know about that one, but I think like bugs that affected the states in the past, they're kept. I saw one statement from the original master.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so they kept the ones, so they kept the bug for all the sets that have been mined already, and they only do it for the new ones.
I don't know I don't think it's the super testnet bug. I think it was some bug that happened sometime many blocks before Ordinals was launched. So something in the software caused some satoshis to not be counted,
Hmm.
and they found out that afterwards and didn't fix. Yeah, they fixed it for the future, but the satoshis keep their ownership.
At least
So
their client is not breaking anymore. Like they crashed the client, or like Super Testnet crashed the website.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that like this very neat arbitrary naming scheme now has some legacy bullshit that you have to be bug for bug compliant in order to. it's,
yeah.
it's so funny. You think it's like because that's a part that really sucks in Bitcoin, and you figure it's like, well, if you're able to do it now, then we probably don't have those issues anymore. But I think this is proof of the fact that it's unavoidable to some extent.
Yeah, they're even using Rust, which was supposed to be a language that has no bugs ever.
Well, if you implement bullshit with Rust, it's still bullshit, right? But there are other bugs in ordinals. Like you can front run everyone. Like if somebody inscribes their rare people or whatever, you can just front run them if you see their transaction in the mempool, and then
As a
inscribe
miner.
it. Yeah, or like
Yeah,
yeah,
true. Yeah, sure.
yeah, and then you inscribe it before they inscribe it, and then you claim that they are stealing your your incredibly valuable NFT.
But that's like the whole MEV issue thing. Why
Yeah,
these things don't work
yeah,
on a blockchain. Yeah.
yeah.
But for some reason, I really don't like. I sort of understand, but for some reason, I just don't understand why people still bother doing it. I It just has to be that it preys on the ignorance of this fact, right?
I really wonder if there are that many stupid people, because it has so much traction and it just doesn't feel it just doesn't feel organic to me.
Uh,
Because what it's a bull market and still people are wasting so much money on this stupidity. I mean, I can see that there are some people wasting stupid money on that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just too romantic and think that people are not that stupid.
they're preying on the fact that there are enough stupid people to make up for it in the future.
Everybody's doing that.
Yes, that's
No
the
one is
entire.
actually stupid. Everybody's very smart. No, but does anyone want the things by
I
for
guess no.
themselves? Yeah.
I mean, there's not a huge market. It's certainly not liquid. Like there is no liquidity in the market. Nobody is buying these nonsensical things, no? Or do you personally know anybody who bought like an ape or something?
Not an ape, but I know some people that bought stuff. Really, like they just bought it in order to
Okay.
sell it later.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Like from a historical perspective, it's interesting to at least because I can imagine that in many years, if you're like studying Bitcoin, you can just see this bullshit coming along, right? And they're gonna be if you're studying in art history, you're going to have like classes on the bullshit that was posted on fucking blockchains. But that's basically it. It's like some anthropological exercise on studying the retardation of society manifested and ossified in the Bitcoin blockchain, something like that.
You mean like these how are they called, rye or so? These huge stone discs that people used as money.
Oh, those are
I
yup, I think, right?
Yep, yep.
I hear
Yeah.
that story so much. I'm inclined to think it's a scam, fake news, something like that.
What did you say, Future?
I hear that story about this stone so much I'm starting to think it's a scam.
It's a complete myth. Nothing
Yeah,
didn't actually happen. Somebody just made it up, and then everyone's, oh, that's a good
that
story. We're gonna
that
run with
happened.
it. That's great. Yeah, yeah. History of money. Yeah, it all started with stones, man. There were like two people smoking weed. It's like, yeah, no, it wasn't gold. It was stones, man. You had this big stone, and then somebody tried to move the stone, and then it ended up in the water. But it didn't matter, man, because there was a very big stone in the water, and everybody knew about the stone in the water, so it was still cool, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
probably
I'll
right,
take
Peter.
I'll take that part as an except to promote this show. That's great.
Yeah, but you're gonna use my stoner impression?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's turn this into a shitcoin podcast. What else can we use zero knowledge proofs for?
um, yeah,
Can you
like
use like can you make a for example, a Nostr event, and you take that event and then you modify it and you make a zero knowledge proof, proving that your modification followed some rules. Like you cut only the first paragraph of text, and the signature is still valid for some reason because there was a signature. Yeah, that was a real question. Can you do something like that?
Um, in general, zero knowledge proofs are universal. That means they can compute any computable function. And
So the function would be just remove everything except the first paragraph,
yeah,
and you can prove that you did that. So the
yes,
signature is still valid,
yeah, you
kinda.
can easily do that. Yes, yeah,
Wow.
you could take the existing signature and then remove some data from the node, and then sorry, there's somebody knocking on the door. Sorry, no, later. Uh,
Yeah, but that's not very
I'm in a
useful, I
hotel.
guess. I would
Somebody's
answer
going
Yeah.
to perform a $5 wrench attack on our guest.
Yeah, that's why I started talking, so no one would notice.
This is all an elaborate op to rob you of your Bitcoin. Let's take a step back and can you try to give like a general explanation of what a zero knowledge proof actually is?
um, yeah, like they were invented for privacy purposes. That the idea was that you can um, prove stuff on encrypted data, basically. Um, I think the most tangible idea is what RGB is doing, confidential transactions. So you're obfuscating the transaction amount, and now you have to prove that your amount is not negative because nobody wants you to send negative amounts. And so you can use a zero knowledge proof to prove in zero knowledge that your amount is positive without revealing anything about the amount other than that it is positive.
Okay, and it would only affect other people if it were actually negative. So
Yeah.
then that for all the other people not part of what the transaction is or the actions going on, the proof that the amount is not negative would be sufficient.
Yes.
Okay, I see. All right.
And this is what they have originally been invented for. But then people figured out other schemes, and then they realized that they have great compression capabilities. And that is why they became such a big buzzword in the shitcoin field. And yeah, they allow you to take basically infinite amounts of computation, like for example the entire blockchain, and then you verify the entire blockchain in a huge computation, and then at the end you get a very succinct receipt that proves that the entire computation was correct. And yeah, this is very magical because yeah, you can basically prove infinite amounts of computation in a very succinct constant size proof.
How long does it take to make the proof?
Yes, and there's a huge asymmetry here because generating the proof is very expensive, but verifying the proof is very cheap.
But how much expensive?
Well, it depends a lot on the statement, of course. When we're talking about the Bitcoin blockchain, the initial catch up will be very expensive. We assume that it will cost about like $10,000 or something on very beefy hardware, probably even ASICs or so, or like FPGAs. But once that initial catch up is done and we have proven the existing 800,000 blocks, then extending that chain proof with the next block is much cheaper. And we want to have a distributed proving system so that people can just participate in that and that we are not a central point of failure. And
But
then
then would it would it be like nested? So you have like the proof for the first so many blocks, and then
Yes,
when another block comes, it's just like the proof of that the combination of those two, of like the
exactly.
first blob of the first bunch of blocks, and then that other block, those two combined, is
Yeah,
actually valid, and then you
yeah.
do the same thing over and over and over again.
That's called recursive proofs. So you verify a proof in a proof,
Yes.
and
Okay.
yeah. So and you extend the chain proof by verifying the previous chain proof and adding a new block proof to it, and yeah, combining the previous chain proof with a current block proof gives you the next chain proof.
Is this exactly what that shitcoin Mina is doing? I've seen this shitcoin called Mina. Have you seen that? I
Yes,
think this is their entire sales pitch is
yes,
that you do that, and then now you
yes,
can do that on Bitcoin
yes,
very
exactly.
easily. You just need $1 million, and
Well,
which
not a
is
million
probably less
dollars,
than
but
$100 million. Yeah,
not a no, not $1 million. Like I would say 10K is enough, or maybe 20K or so. We haven't done it yet, so I'm just guessing into the blue. But
But this
uh,
is assuming you're renting a cluster somewhere,
yeah, yeah.
or yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah.
see.
You could also do it on your phone or your old laptop.
Yes,
It would just take more time, I guess.
Well, I have an
exactly. Yeah.
FPGA. I have an FPGA lying around here. Maybe we can use that one.
Just here before that talk, I had a call with someone from Intel, and they have new FPGAs, and they would like us to use them.
Interesting. So you should announce that Intel will invest in Bitcoin or something like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Breaking,
maybe.
breaking.
Yeah, maybe I should not make any big announcement here.
No,
It's
you
just
already said it. Breaking news.
yeah.
Intel is discussing with
So,
Bitcoin CEO on investing in zero knowledge proofs.
yes.
We're going to the moon, boys.
Bitcoin 2.0 with zero
Institution
knowledge.
is coming.
So I have to make a disclaimer. They just offered us to use some of their FPGAs on their cloud, so they are not investing anything in Bitcoin or something. I
So
guess they
they're
would get
using
mad
their
at me.
FPGAs to mine Bitcoin. That's amazing.
Yeah, the corporations are
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Weren't they gonna make a
What
miner?
is an FPGA? I think FPGA is something about golf.
Field
F,
programmable gate array. It's like a transistor Lego.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
almost
there's
like an
a.
ASIC. It's like an ASIC that you can
It's a
build by
programmable
hand.
It's programmable hardware.
Yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah, but I was talking about PGA actually. Professional golf. Something. Professional Golfers Association, maybe.
Ah, okay. And do the professional golfers like passion fruit
I think
or
they're
not?
investing in Bitcoin now. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
and they use Bitcoin instead of the golf balls. They will slap Bitcoins in the hole. Yeah,
And then they use zero knowledge proof to prove that they actually did the 18 holes or what?
yeah. Each golfist can play alone. No one needs to watch, and then they just prove afterwards that they made some points. Yeah. See, I found a new use case for zero knowledge proofs. Gonna make a blockchain for it and be rich. So,
Um.
what
So
do you
what is
think?
okay? Let's
Okay,
go ahead. Go ahead, Fija.
okay. My question is much better. What do you think? Do you think it would help to get any private merged on Bitcoin Core if we offered some money to someone to go there and do it?
You want to offer money to get any pref out merged?
Yeah, I offer money so someone will step up, take the money, and spend a year of their life opening a pull request and addressing comments and dealing with everybody that will shit on that person and finally getting it merged. Is that a strategy that could work, or what's the best strategy?
I have a better alternative. So what you do is you set a bounty where in which you promise to burn like 1 million Bitcoin if any pref out gets
And
included.
then everybody will be more.
Exactly.
But a million Bitcoin, that's way too much money, and still wouldn't make any difference, any noticeable difference to anyone. So
Well,
Really?
if
You
you had
don't think so?
I don't think
Burning
so.
like close to 5% of the supply? I don't know.
you could do something way worse. You could basically blackmail the community into activating it, because you could have just you take your output with 1 million Bitcoin, and then you make it anyone can spend output that can be spent in, like, let's say, a year or so, and you can take it back if APO gets activated. But if APO gets not activated, then you just leave it there, and then it will completely mess up miner incentives, because all miners will forever be incentivized to rewrite
Yeah,
the.
but
They'll just get an endless reorg.
Yeah, exactly.
no, but I don't think you can do that with soft forks. I think you can do it uh, because the soft forks, like if you use the rule and the soft fork is not in place, then it's automatically anyone can spend. So you're actually doing the opposite, right?
No, I meant like you use it as to blackmail the entire community. That you are like, hey, I will completely mess up Bitcoin with my
Oh,
one
yeah, yeah. I
million
see, I see, I
BTC.
see, I see, I see, I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think anyone will understand that until it happens.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
agree.
I
I
don't.
also,
I don't think we actually got to. So why are you a Bitcoiner?
Um, yeah, I think money is absolutely fundamental to society, or like the design of the monetary system is absolutely fundamental to society. And I think the current monetary systems are scams. And I think all people that are like suffer from that in one way or the other, even if they don't know about it. But everybody gets ripped off, and I think the best thing I can do with my precious lifetime is to help improve this situation, and that's why I work on Bitcoin.
Okay, that checks out, right? Um, and why Bitcoin? Why not something else?
Um, the rest are scams, I think. I mean, I've seen it from the inside what it is when there is like a founders team behind it that try to convince others that their coin has value, even though it's just a shit coin. And I don't see anything that convinces me. I just see companies like Ethereum and stuff, and I think it doesn't matter if it's the company Ethereum or the company Federal Reserve Bank or so. It's just the same stuff, and Bitcoin is very different because Bitcoin is very decentralized, as far as I can tell.
And do you? What odds would you put on Bitcoin actually succeeding?
Oh, very low, unfortunately. I think the propaganda is very strong. Most people think it's something shady that is just used to like buy drugs on the internet, or like uh, uh,
Oh,
tax
that's
evasion or
interesting.
whatever.
Okay, so you. Oh, that's an interesting answer. So, but then to combine that question with timescale, so would you then say that the odds of Bitcoin succeeding increase over time?
No, I think they decrease a lot. I
Okay.
think if we don't scale Bitcoin to be used widely within this decade, I think it will be unusable very quickly. Like I think as soon as CBDCs are the dominant currency, you will just not be able to buy Bitcoin anymore. You will be able to buy paper Bitcoin and stuff, but you will not be
Mm-hmm.
able to buy Bitcoin with CBDCs. I think maybe not initially, but very quickly, like within years, you will not be able to buy Bitcoin anymore, I think. I'm from Germany, and the president of the European Central Bank, she said it very clearly. She said Bitcoin is a problem because it would allow people to escape from the bullshit that they want to
Yep.
do with
Yep. Yep.
CBDCs. They have to close the escape routes, and she said that
Yes.
very clearly. She even used that word. She said we have to close the escape routes because otherwise we cannot have negative interest rates and all that stuff. And yeah, I think like many people think the government is just stupid and incompetent, but I don't think so at all. I think they are very incompetent at delivering what they are promising to people, but I think they are very competent at ripping off people. And I think they have very competent people working on that stuff, both on the technical side and on the psychological side of selling this slave coins to people. And I think most people will just take the slave coins and will be happy with it and eat the bugs.
So what would be necessary for Bitcoin to actually defeat this upcoming financial panopticon?
I see three things. First of all, scalability. The second is usability, and the third is marketing.
Okay, so let's start with the first. Sorry, the last one, marketing. Uh,
Yeah.
what would your ideas be there? Because it's something it's very hard to coordinate, right? There are no budgets, etc. So
Yeah.
everybody's just doing their own thing. Um, what are your ideas there?
Um,
Shouldn't these, no, like these efforts that people do to promote Bitcoin, like they, like Jack Dorsey gives money to Bitcoiners, like everything is spent on worthless open source projects that in 99% of the case no one is going to use. Shouldn't these people just making some companies try to do things that will move Bitcoin closer to people, to real world use cases, or instead of just making wallets, like if everybody's making wallets and
Just but how
developing.
like how are you going to bring Bitcoin closer to people if not via wallets?
No, you create something that is something that people want, and then you sell that in exchange for Bitcoins, and like you make a company.
You
I,
just mean like make an ice cream company and then say
yes,
we're just gonna
exactly.
sell the ice cream for
An ice
Bitcoin.
cream that has the best ice cream, and they sell the ice creams for a very cheap price, but only accept Bitcoin. And then you can afford some losses because you have money that would otherwise have gone to the pockets of worthless developers making wallets. Right? Okay, I know
I
you
guess.
agree with me.
I guess. Um.
So,
So,
what's your
but then
ice cream expertise?
okay. So, but then we're moving to the second one, which was I think usability, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Um.
I think it has to
Yeah.
be
Go ahead.
really easy. Like, I see it with myself. I would say, like, I'm very used to using complex software and everything, but still, when I use my online banking and when it's doing quirky stuff, then it always creates huge stress, and it's a very unpleasant feeling. And I think when people deal with Bitcoin, it's orders of magnitudes harder, and the more complexity there is, the more fear there is. There's a nice book about this. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. It's
Hmm.
written by a psychologist who got a Nobel Prize for economics. Like, of course, Nobel Prize for economics doesn't mean much because Paul Krugman has one too. But
And it's not a
he's
Nobel Prize. It's whatever Bank of Sweden. Everybody says that all the time. Okay, go on.
yeah, but like main ideas in his book is that our brains have two systems, the system 1 and system 2. And system 1 is like the archaical system. It's very old, and we have it in common with like lizards and everything, the lizard brain. And on top of that, there's the neocortex that is that can do the complex stuff. So we have two systems. One is very fast and dumb, and the other one is very slow but smart. And the fast but dumb system, it takes over whenever whenever there is fight or flight situations. And we are programmed by evolution such that, like during the times that we lived in the jungles, when we heard something in the bushes, it was a good idea to just run and not think too much about it, and not have a philosophical discussion if there could be a tiger or not. The system 1 just quickly made the decision, hey, I induce fear into the brain, and I will tell it to just run. And that was a good heuristic that made us survive. And this programming is still active up to today. And when people are interacting with products, and in particular also financial products, because financial products are linked to like food and survival and everything, then this system is also very active. And when there is too much complexity, then we get fear, and we get even fear of death in the end. We fear that one of our uh, most needed resources, that we lose one of our most needed resources. And then people become very irrational, to the degree that they are just like, oh, I don't want to deal with Bitcoin at all because it creates this negative feeling in me.
But
And
but what if all the tigers are aggressive because they're frustrated about the fact that nobody wants to have a philosophical discussion with them?
yeah, maybe that's the only issue. Maybe we should just talk to the tigers, and then
Right.
we could iron it out.
What do
Yeah.
you think of that? Have you read that book from Julian Jaynes, The Origin of Consciousness from the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind? Something like that. Uh,
No, I don't know.
I think the thesis of the book is that the the ancient man didn't have consciousness. He only heard voices in his head, and these were the voices of the gods. But it was actually the voices of his brain was separate in two parts, and
Uh-huh.
one side communicated to the other side using human speech, and these were the voices of gods that people listen to. And the guy, like, he gives examples from the Iliad and stuff like that. And he says that consciousness happened when, after man became accustomed to using language, the two parts of the mind merged, and then the part that represented the gods became what we know as consciousness.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting
You know, I
hypothesis.
Before we're ending up into some kind of psychological book club, um, uh, like what the fuck? I also read this very interesting book. Like the plot is, there's this ring, and it's like an all powerful ring, and everybody wants to have the ring.
tell me more.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
How many rings they made?
Well, there were a bunch of rings, but they were all in this control of this one ring. No, so you okay? So that's the things need to be. I'm totally going to black pill and depress you after this, even though I can't, because you already said that you think the odds of Bitcoin succeeding are very low. So it needs to be more user friendly. Okay, I get that,
Simplicity
and
is key. Like
yeah,
Apple
yeah.
is the most valuable company in the world, or used to be the most valuable company in the world, because their products are so damn simple to use. And this
I, I
is
I don't I like apparently everybody says that, but every time I'm interfacing with an Apple product, it feels like absolute rape.
Yeah, it's very hard.
I have
Okay, yeah.
no fucking clue what's going on, what I'm supposed to do. It's just like what. Oh, but it's so intuitive. It's like
I
Anyway,
think what people used to, they call it intuitive, and they say it's easy because they used to.
and the first one
Well,
was so we had marketing, usability, and and scalability.
yes. It
Okay,
really
so
has to scale.
yes, so we can conclude that Bitcoin doesn't scale. It uses these public-private key things, which it's nice, but it's an absolute fucking nightmare. And key management is just hard, and
Oh
it
yeah.
has a very high threshold for responsibility. We can make all these kind of schemes and fancy systems maybe on top later, eventually somehow. But the bottom line is still is like if you lost the thing, you're fucked. Um, so it's never going to be easy and convenient from that perspective. Maybe the layers that we build on top of it
Yeah,
eventually,
but that's
maybe.
still much better than having to run a Lightning node, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. And like, there's no coordination in marketing, so we are stuck with all the fucking morons on Twitter that have all these weird ideas on what Bitcoin is, and they create false promises, and then people have the wrong expectations on Bitcoin, and then there's a fee spike, and then everything breaks, and everybody is frantically confused because they don't like, why isn't this the thing that I thought the thing was? And then we're going to have a scuffle. So yeah, it's the three things that you identified that I think are fair. Like if you say like this, Bitcoin needs to succeed. It's like
What's the solution? I don't want to hear about the problem. I want to hear what can we do?
I I
What?
accept that it's not going to be like, approach it from the other direction. People approach it from like, we're going to unbank the bank, or we're going to bank the unbanked, and like all the poor people in the global south, and like all these poor people and whatever.
Jesus Christ!
It's like, no, just approach it from the complete opposite direction. Is like, can the elites of the world use Bitcoin? Can states of the world use Bitcoin? Probably yes, right? I'm not really worried about them being
But they're
able
not
to use it.
interested in using that. They're not interested in using that
Oh,
at all.
I disagree. I disagree. I think there is geopolitical game theory for them to actually use it. And I think that's something we are seeing played out. And I mean, it's not certain, but the hypothesis at least is there is that if you have, so the hypothesis is that a large um, reason for the incentive for power is sovereignty, which basically just means like, I need power in order to ensure that others with power can't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Right? That's a large part for the motivation for power. It's not everything, but it's a large part of it. And neutrality actually gives exactly the same thing, because even though you don't have power, you're still ensured that others don't have power over you anyway. So that's something that Bitcoin provides. So it's and then so from a geopolitical perspective,
That's something that the gold standard provided, but
yes,
it failed.
yes, because there are other reasons. Because gold is very cumbersome. It's like, from a monetary perspective, just reducing it to information is
Yeah, but
far
that's not
far superior.
that argument. That was not why the gold standard was abandoned. It was abandoned because the states are very bad and evil.
Yeah.
And the argument that people use, that saying that Bitcoin will succeed while gold didn't, are because people can hold their own bitcoins and the people couldn't hold their own gold. So that made it much easier for the state to take the gold.
Yes, but the states are still using gold. Central banks
They,
still own gold. Central
yeah,
banks
they
still
just
buy
own the
gold.
gold, but they don't use it for many things. They don't use it
Yes,
for
but they're
anything else.
still using it.
Yeah, but it helps us nothing that they're using it in the way they're using it.
No,
We
but
screwed
but
anyway.
it
We have giant
yes,
inflation.
okay, yes, Mr. Fiat Jeff. But it would help us if they would use Bitcoin for the in the exact same way that would still help us.
It wouldn't
because
help
we're
us
also
because
able
they
to
would
use Bitcoin.
no, because they would put the CBDC stuff on us, and they will hold Bitcoin on their banks, on their vaults, and it would be the
Yes,
same.
but then that still allows me to have Bitcoin and use it.
It doesn't. It doesn't because you can't do anything with that Bitcoin. You can only buy it through illegal means, and you become a pariah if you do it because Bitcoin is not the money. Bitcoin is just some crazy shiny thing that you
No, that's just
want.
saying it doesn't help. It doesn't help enough people for your liking, apparently, in enough places in during
Well,
enough time.
I can buy gold today, but it helps me nothing to buy gold. I still have to use the
Right,
fucking
because the
government
utility of
money.
gold itself, because the monetary utility or the financial utility of gold sucks. Because
Yeah, it will be
you
the
need
same.
third parties to use it in it. Like
No,
you
that's not
just
why
need.
it sucks. It sucks because no one accepts it. No one wants it.
Mm. But the thing
And
is that you okay. But let's say that there is somebody at the other side of the world that does accept gold. You can't reach that person.
yeah, but whatever. There are a lot of people that
But I
want
can reach
Bitcoin.
them with
I
Bitcoin.
can't buy anything that I use day to day with Bitcoin. And people that pay me money, they don't pay me Bitcoin. And
Again, so now you're still again. So this is
and
my
prices
point.
are
Is
not paid in
you're
Bitcoin.
approaching it from the you're approaching this from this perspective. My point is, let's approach it from the other side.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we need this side. The other side is useless.
I don't disagree necessarily. Okay, I don't necessarily disagree. Although I would say that it's inherent to Bitcoin that it level there is no inherent hierarchy. It's like as long as you're like on chain, everybody's fucking equal, right? So it doesn't matter if you're a state or just some individual in a hole somewhere. Um, so that's the difference between gold and Bitcoin in that regard. But it wasn't actually done. So it's like, does it work if we have this spectrum of like elites and states and big corporations and uh, moving from the
I
scale
think
all the way to like poor
criminals is
people in
better.
Africa? What do you say?
I think criminals are our best chance.
Yeah, well,
Criminals and
criminals are on that spectrum, I guess. Um, but the point here is that you I think it's more important to see like does it actually uh, is it actually viable for the left side of the spectrum, right, the high end, let's say, and then we can and then we can have optimism and hope in relation to how far we can push it to the right side of the spectrum. But if we're going to make demands or expectations of the system in relation to the right side of the spectrum first, you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment. It's like
well, I,
Bitcoin needs to scale. Fuck you. Bitcoin doesn't scale, and it doesn't
just
need
put
to scale in order to it.
Just put drive chain there, and this got scalability. You make a drive chain, you make a ZK coins side chain, and then you have infinite scalability.
Yes,
Robin
that's all.
just
That's
promised.
all. That's all very good and hopeful and to push it to the right side of the scale. I agree.
Well, if you show me some evidence that there is someone on the left side willing to want Bitcoin, to
Like I
use
don't
Bitcoin.
want to say El Salvador, but I'm going to say El Salvador.
El Salvador is the left side. El
Well,
Salvador
it
is the
is
left
a
side.
country.
It is like it is a guy who got to the
Yes,
presidency
it's an
against
elite.
everything, against the entire elite of the country. He just got voted in and started doing crazy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the right side. The right side is the World Bank or whatever.
Oh, it's like
These
as long as
bureaucrats, these long-lived politicians that
no, that's just
control much.
those
They
are
have
just
much more power
fractions. Those are factions within the left side.
within
And the
the
whole
right
point
side.
is that it's not going to be adopted in the center of the power structures first. It's going to be adopted in the margins. And El Salvador is one of those marginal places.
That guy will be killed like any day, and they will revert all his policies. He has no power. He has the entire power of the state because he's. I don't know how he made that, but he has no actual support in the elites. He
So,
got there by luck.
so
And
what is your argument here? Is that in the 13, 14, the mere 13, 14 years that this thing exists, it only has El Salvador. Is that the point that you're making, or what is actually the point that you're
You're
making?
sounding like a maximalist. Okay, okay. I'll stop. I'll stop arguing. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. But
No, it's like my point is just like I've and to the extent I had any idealism, I don't try to be idealistic in relation to Bitcoin. I try to be very, very pragmatic and realistic as to what's going on, what actually is this thing, and how will it interface with the world. And what I see on for the most part, it's like on the Bitcoin Twitter and the narratives going on, they are very hopeful and optimistic, and they're and if you ask me, they are setting up the wrong expectations. It's just Roger Ver. Bitcoin is free, and the transactions are free and instant and private all over again. It's the same bullshit over and over again. It's just like slightly different narratives on slightly different domains, but it's every single time people try to push the nice fairy tale story, and then they bump their nose because it's not true, and then they're disappointed and frustrated or whatever. And I don't actually think it's like, maybe it's helpful. I certainly think it's unavoidable, because like this is the stuff that sells, right? It's like it's shitcoin-esque. People justify it just by the fact that that they're doing it within the Bitcoin
let's
world.
just cut this part. It's too depressing. Will, if you convince me that that all the hope I have is not like it's all false, I'll just stop doing anything about Bitcoin and we'll do something else.
Okay, that's not good. That's not good either. It's like, okay, but like my point is that you have to fight the fight anyway. But I think you can only have an effective fight if you are are honest
If
to
if
yourself
Robin
and
is
other
listening to your depressing discourse right now, like I think Zero Sync is going to be cancelled tomorrow, and he's going to
breaking:
move.
all
He's going.
Bitcoiners committing mass suicide after podcast.
He'll move to the north of uh, uh, Norway and live along with our audio producer.
Well, I definitely think that the meme of Bitcoin has already won. That meme is harming. It's not a good one. It's it's
Yeah,
yeah, it lures people
Bitcoin.
into. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think Constant is like on board with all these people. Although he doesn't believe Bitcoin has already won, he's also like Bitcoin is the best. He can't change Bitcoin, and I don't know how I don't understand what Constant thinks. Like his mind is a giant
Hey,
puzzle.
Constant, what do you think about drive chains?
Don't ask that question. Don't ask that question. Let's end the show. Like it's been too many minutes already, and our Zencaster quota is expiring.
Okay.
No, that's bullshit. We have plenty of time left. What are interesting? So aside from the ZK stuff, what are interesting developments within Bitcoin that you follow?
Arc, definitely. Arc. Like, I'm currently here in San Francisco, and I will go back later today to Burak's Hacker House, and Super Testnet is also there, and a couple other people will also come over. And yeah, I find Arc very exciting, and even more
How do
exciting is
you?
Drive
How do
Chains.
you? Okay, drive chains.
Sorry.
I was going to ask about Arc. How do you think it can it work, even with all the absurd liquidity requirements?
I don't know if they are too absurd. I think there are many. I say
One transaction every 5 seconds, and the server has to commit funds, and the funds have to stay committed for 1 month.
Yeah, not necessarily that 1 month is not a God-given number. It's just like a random number that
Yeah,
Burak
yeah,
picked to make an argument. If you lower that number, then
yeah.
yeah,
But you can still like make. I can still send to myself uh, a million satoshis every five
yeah,
seconds.
that is FUD. Like that is, I mean, if you do that, you can do that, but you will just make the ASP happy, right? Because they will
Really?
charge you their fees. Yeah, of course.
How much do they have to charge
I mean,
to
the
make it?
argument is basically the same as like, oh, I can just spam Bitcoin because I make so many transactions that, yeah.
No, because suppose I have. What would be the fee to make these this kind of transfers not worth
Well, the
doing?
fee will always be the capital cost of the ASP and the cost of operation plus the profit that they want to make. And as long as you are paying them those fees, they are happy because they are making profit. So you don't break it.
But it's I'm not sure to what extent it's actually FUD, because you can effectively denial of service the Arc server.
Maybe, but they can
Because it's
detect
it's
such
it's way
such
cheaper
an
for
attack definitely.
because it needs to, so the fact, the fees and stuff, right? It's the time value of money. It has to make that over time, and it's far easier for you to uh, um, gobble up all the available liquidity the Arc server has uh, in time than that it makes it back, and then at that point you are the only effective user. Um, so now you denial service that Arc server, so any other user is not going to either join or use that server anymore. And if you do that enough, then you're uh, um, the Arc server is profitable
Hmm.
um, for the time that you're doing that, but they're not actually getting any customers. So then the question is that the moment you stop, will it actually gain customers then afterwards?
I think you can
If all the
have all
people
kinds
have,
of mitigations against this attack. Like first of all, you can track UTXOs to some degree. You can also slow down how fast they can be transferred, so that you cannot transfer them every 5 seconds, or that you can do that only 5 times in a row, and then it starts slowing you down.
but I can't.
Um,
It's supposed to be very private and stuff, right? So I can just Sybil.
mm, yeah, okay. That coin join thing is another layer of complexity that I don't think most transactions will actually use that coin join.
Okay. One, I don't think this particular point is very interesting. But my main question in relation to Arc, and maybe you have a response, so maybe you can give it to what's his name, Burak?
Burak, yeah.
Yeah. So his motivation for this system is to make something for like easy and for end users, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you're still, I don't get it, because you're still relying on like UTXOs. So you're still going to, so the transaction size, so the minimal viable economic transaction size still has
Yeah.
to be whatever the free fee rate dictates that the
Exactly. Yeah.
transaction size has to be.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's not
why.
going to be your coffee payments.
No. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, to some degree it works out, but yeah, as soon as the fees will become too high for small VTXOs, then the system, yeah, becomes not very usable for that. That's why I like Drivechains much more. I just think it's a long wait. I think the nice thing about Arc is that you can already have some version of Arc now. You can have it today.
That's true, and I do think it's a very interesting scheme, at least.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah,
And people will keep enhancing it and will come up with new tricks to make it even better.
but still, with this as well, is like this is like the prime example of what I talked about earlier. Is that he approaches the thing for like, I want to make it easy for like the end user, and it's like he's thinking about the normal guy, and then I want to make it easy for him, and he makes a system that, if you reason about it, like in the future, it's just not going to be viable for that type of person anyway. But it's still an interesting system, and like the kings
Well,
and the states and the central banks or whatever can still use that system, but it's not, but not the normal guy, right? Maybe now in the low fee environment, but
well, like if you really want to pay coffee, you can just have lightning channels in an arc, right? And the
I
cool
guess
thing,
that's true. Yes.
yeah, and the cool thing about arc is that you don't have that inbound liquidity problem really, and that you, yeah, can make up channels ad hoc, like as you need them, and the arc can provide, the ASP can provide you with liquidity. So that is interesting, and I think that works to some degree, yeah. But in general, you're right that I think every system that requires, in the disastrous case, some kind of on-chain transaction is limited by the fees. Like, the fees always have to be neglectable in comparison to the size of your UTXO or whatever you have in that second layer protocol. And that's again a big reason why Drivechains is so much better, because in a Drivechain you can easily have, yeah, way lower fees, and then you can have way smaller UTXOs that are economically feasible.
Yep, that's true for any basically for any sidechain or whatever
Yes.
you can call define sidechain thing,
Yeah,
whatever scheme it is.
that's why I believe sidechains is the solution, or like at least the best solution we have currently, or the best approach. I mean, it's not working yet, so I won't call it a solution, but it's the best approach that we have.
Yeah, and then my point would be, it's like uh, it's something, it's like a trade-off you can always make, and I don't think it's the actually important audience that Bitcoin requires. I think things like covenants and vaults, and just ensuring that serious people with serious amounts of money and holding serious amounts of responsibility are actually able to use Bitcoin. And we're still not there, because it's
Hmm.
just the risks are too high. It's just too cumbersome, etc., etc., etc. So if we can get it to where the whole be your own bank thing meme actually applies to the people that have the funds to be a bank, then we're getting somewhere. I think that's I personally think that's and more interesting and actually more important than
But they can
doing the
already
other
use
stuff.
multi-signatures, no?
Okay, yes, but that's only so the multi-signature stuff is something from the past couple of years, slowly ramping up. The wallet's there, improving. But yes, it's an important part. But you need, I think, the reactive security thing that vaults give you is a must-have.
Hmm.
You cannot rely on um, uh, like defending yourself at the start, and then finding out it wasn't good enough, and then you're fucked. You need something after that as well, so you need both,
Hmm. Yeah, maybe.
especially because, again, key management is a bitch. Nobody wants to fucking, it's just too damn hard. So yes, you can do a lot of things with keys, but I think having security implemented in on the contract side is actually a lot better.
Hmm. Yeah, it increases the complexity as well, but yes, definitely, I would love to see vaults on Bitcoin. Yes.
This
Yeah,
is the
well,
longest episode
that's not
ever.
true. It's like 1.5 hours. Oh,
This
maybe
is a lot.
it is the longest episode. Do you have any questions for Fiat Jeff? Still,
No, I don't.
So,
do you have any questions, Robin?
what's your take on drive chains? Would you activate them? on your note.
So, with this bombshell, we're going to end this podcast.
Yeah, I
No,
think
this
you
was
guys, you guys should invite Paul Stork.
Yeah,
Fiat
ask
Jeff wants
Constant.
to.
Ask Constant. Our producer wants, like, he's producing this show.
Uh-huh.
He's making the website. He's making the podcast available. Only in the hopes that we will invite Paul Stork and Constant. I don't know what he thinks about it. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say what his take on Drivechain, as you can see. But I think he
You
doesn't
like
like my.
arguing, no? You like arguing, and I think Paul Stork is one of the best guys to argue with in the Bitcoin field.
You didn't ask me any permission to invite Robin. You just did it.
Yes.
See?
Yeah, because
Yes.
I think you would find him interesting and interesting topics. But I don't know. I think you, if I invite Paul Stork against your will, you will sit.
I think he just agreed. No? I mean he didn't disagree. So there's
Yeah, yeah, I think he did. That's true.
What do you
Yeah.
think is the best Bitcoin podcast, Robin, at the moment?
I
Except
think
for
the
this
unhashed
one.
podcast, except for yours, like next to yours.
Have you ever have you even listened to one episode of this podcast?
Yes, I've
Wait.
listened to your previous episode.
did you listen to it because Fiat Jeff invited you?
No, I listened to it before he invited me.
Okay.
Yeah,
How did you find the podcast?
he posted it on Twitter.
I see.
Yeah. I didn't
You
fully
think I
listen
don't
to it
promote the
because
podcast?
yeah, it was the first time that I heard about it when you posted about it last week, or like even this week. So you're not good at promoting it. I think it's a very good podcast. I find it very entertaining, but you're not good at promoting it yet.
Especially the
So,
StarCraft stuff. That's like the highlight of the.
Definitely, yeah.
yeah, I promoted it on the StarCraft Reddit channel. I did. Yeah.
All right.
They have a long history, you know. Isn't there that meme where like some StarCraft tournament in 2014 or so paid like I don't know the third place got like 100 Bitcoin or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, last place of that tournament
Yeah.
was a bunch of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so StarCraft people they have a long history with Bitcoin, I guess.
You didn't
So it's
say what's the best podcast.
there are a couple ones that I like. Of course, I like Stephen Livera's podcast. I like the Unhashed podcast, and I like
Hash is not a
I-
podcast. It's a dead podcast.
yeah.
Not a
Unfortunately, they are not very active anymore.
But they
I
were
liked
very
it a lot.
shitty. Anyway, like they were awful.
I like them, and I like Ruben a lot. And yeah, I like some German podcasts, like 21. 21 is great. The German Bitcoin community in general is great. I hope I don't miss any important ones now.
Okay.
Are you planning to go to the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference this year?
Good question. I think I'm traveling somewhere. That's the reason I didn't go there.
Do you like France?
France, like France, you mean?
France. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
the country he's asking. Are you like
Yeah, I love France. I live right next to the French border. From my place, I can basically walk to France.
Okay,
Yeah,
and how much of that border should be moved backwards from where you live?
I think it's good how it is. Like the place that I live in, it was moved back and forwards. It was like French, then it was independent, then it was German, and then it was independent again, and French and German. And
Yes, but the
so
place name is German, and the place name of the city neighboring that city that you're in, that's actually in French territory, is probably also German.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And the
Okay.
people at the French border, they,
How
they speak
much-
perfect German, yeah.
so how much should that border be pushed back? And when are we going to do it?
That is a tough topic. Like people have been fighting over that for centuries. I guess like my heritage, like my lineage, uh, they have been in those wars, and I think it wasn't fun. That many people died there for no reason, just because of that stupid border. So yeah.
Fia, Jeff, why did you ask this question?
Well, I wanted to find more people that hate France. I always hated France, and I like when Constant showed that he also hates France. But we're still only two people, I guess.
No, I like France. I like Paris. I like
Okay.
I like French fromage. Sorry,
Okay, I think
I
we're
will
gonna have
not
to.
team up with you on
I
fighting
think we're
France.
gonna have to cut the podcast here because
It's too depressing. Is
it still has to be posted on YouTube. So, all right.
Okay, let's end. This is too large. This is the biggest. No one's going to listen to this part. Not even the AI from YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Even the AI will be halfway through. It will be, oh my god, I cannot listen to that bullshit. Okay. Yeah, sorry AI. Please don't kill us.
Okay, Constant, please do the final thing that you do when we end the podcast. You're not working today, right? You're just too open. Okay,
I'm
I think I lost you. Okay,
no, I'm waiting for you to say goodbye, and that's where I end the podcast.
goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks a lot for having me. It was fun.